Welcome back to GMP Scenario, presented by PharmaContentLabs.com.
Let's talk about something that happens all the time in the world of GMP, good manufacturing practice. It's a scenario that seems small, almost harmless, but it can spiral into a massive compliance crisis. We're talking about a simple, overnight software update. So let's break down why a harmless little patch can be such a huge deal.
Just picture it. You work in a quality control lab. You wrap up a totally normal day, everything's running smoothly, all your systems are validated. You head home. And then you come back the next morning, and something fundamental about your operation has changed, and you don't even know it yet.
And this is almost always how it starts. Some automated overnight update gets pushed to the very systems you count on to ensure product safety. But for the analysts walking into the lab, it's just another Tuesday. Business as usual. Or so they think. So let's trace this little disaster. Sometime, in the middle of the night, the update goes live. In the morning, the analysts come in, they're completely in the dark, and they start running samples. They're generating data, they might even be releasing product based on this data, and then someone notices. There is zero paperwork for this new software version, no impact assessment, no validation. The system's validated state has just vanished. And this is exactly where the fight always starts. It is a classic, almost predictable clash of two worlds. You have the IT department, whose main job is cybersecurity, and then you have the quality assurance team who lives and breathes compliance and validation. I guarantee you this is the first thing you'll hear. It was just a security patch. And look, from an IT point of view, that's a perfectly good answer. They saw a vulnerability, they fixed it, they kept the network safe. End of story, right? Wrong. Not in a GMP world. Every single change has to be controlled.
And here is that collision in black and white. What IT calls a routine update, GMP calls a documented deviation. What IT sees as just a security patch, quality sees as a massive, uncontrolled change. And that IT assumption of no impact, well, that just doesn't fly in the face of the GMP reality that every single change requires formal change control.
So this really gets us to the heart of it, doesn't it? Is an unannounced update like this okay? Can you just cross your fingers, trust that everything's fine, and just move on with your day? Or is this something a lot more serious? The answer couldn't be clearer. It is absolutely a deviation, and a pretty serious one at that. By its very definition, when you change a validated system without following the approved process, you have departed from your own established standards. You've officially broken the rules.
So what's the big deal? It's not just about ticking boxes on a form. At its core, this is a huge data integrity risk. And if there's one thing that gets regulators really interested, and not in a good way, it's anything that smells like compromised data.
You have to put on your inspector hat for a second. An inspector doesn't see a security patch. They see a black hole. They see a period of time where your critical system was running in a totally unknown, unverified state. And their default assumption will be that all data generated during that time is unreliable until you prove otherwise. And here's exactly why they're so worried. A tiny little patch can have huge, unintended side effects. It could tweak a calculation. It could mess with the audit trail, which is your system's memory. It could even change who has permission to do what, or how data gets saved. The bottom line? Your system is no longer in its validated state. Period. Okay, so it happened. You found an uncontrolled update. The key is not to panic. Panic is not a strategy. What you need is a clear, disciplined, immediate response plan. Let's walk through what that looks like. Here are the 3 non-negotiable first steps. Number 1, stop. Just stop. Don't run another sample. Don't generate another byte of data on that system. 2, capture. Get all the evidence you can. What's the new version number? Are there patch notes? Grab all the system logs. And 3, assess. This is where you kick off a formal GMP impact assessment to figure out what actually changed. And that assessment is going to generate a lot of crucial paperwork. You'll need a change record to officially log what happened, a risk assessment to figure out the potential harm. You'll definitely need test evidence, things like regression testing to prove the system still works the way it's supposed to. And finally, you can't just turn it back on. You need a formal, documented release decision. So, the immediate fire is out. Now we get to the really important part. The lesson. How do you stop this from ever happening again? It really all boils down to one simple core principle. But before we reveal the solution, let's talk about the most common and most dangerous mistake people make. It's the assumption that, oh, it's just a security patch, so it has no GMP impact. That single thought is basically a ticking time bomb waiting to go off during an audit.
This is it. This is the phrase you need to remember. Say it with me. Validated systems do not update on trust. They update on evidence. They update on verification. Trust is wonderful, but it is not a control strategy in a GMP environment.
So to make sure this principle gets hardwired into your organization, you need a long-term fix. And in the language of GMP, that means one thing: a robust corrective and preventative action plan. You'll hear it called a CAPA.
Now, a CAPA does two amazing things. The corrective action fixes the mess you're in right now, but the preventative action, that's the real game changer. This is where you build a bridge between your IT and QA teams. You create a real patch governance policy, so no update ever gets deployed again without a formal GMP review.
And this all leaves us with one final critical question for you to take back to your own teams. It's one thing to validate a system when you first install it, but are you truly maintaining that validated state day after day?
Thank you for watching. If this helped, like and subscribe. More GMP scenarios coming.